Sales out of your business is like getting speed out of your car. Okay. You've got different individual parts. You've got different individual components, and you can get those optimized. I can buy better quality individual parts in my car. How those components work with one another is just as important in any system as is the individual optimization. I'm Ray Green, former executive turned nomad entrepreneur, and as a sales executive, me and my teams have sold more than $250 million. And that's been across multiple industries, everything from high-level, seven-figure political fundraising to transactional fundraising to IT businesses to coaching models to professional services to private equity-backed companies, you name it. And that's included just about every sales model imaginable. It's inbound, it's outbound, it's door-to-door, it's outbound phone, it's inbound phone, you name it. And I've probably led a sales team in it. I've been able to do that because I look at sales as basically just a simple system. You have a series of inputs that go through a process, that handwriting, and you get an output. And in sales, that's money. If I want to get more sales out of my system, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what are the inputs, what is the process, and how can I change these things in order to change the output that I'm getting. So what I'm going to do is just walk you through how I would diagnose a consultative sales process, like a pretty typical consultative sales process where you've got multiple touch points and quite a few things going on, but you're not getting the output that you want. You're not getting either the sales or the deals or the new clients, whatever that is. Here's how I would go about diagnosing and troubleshooting that so that we can get more of the output that we want, which is sales. And the first place I would start is inputs and the process. Now, what I'm going to use is kind of a fairly typical type of consultative sales process where maybe you have somebody or a system that sends an email first. Then they follow that up with an outbound call. And the idea of this call is to get them to a qualifying call. And on that qualifying call, you're basically going to determine, is this prospect a potential opportunity at some point? And then you're going to move from that qualifying call to probably something like a full discovery call, an hour or so to really dive into the problems and the pains and all of that, which will ideally lead to some type of demo or assessment. If you're an IT company, whatever that is, that's going to get you to your proposal meeting or call, and you're going to close the deal, or you're going to go to follow-up. So these would be the inputs and the processes that are basically running in a consultative sales process, at least for this one. The first thing I would do is I would look at this and I would get basic KPIs for all of these. All right. I would look at how many emails are we sending? What are the basic open rates? What are the click-through rates? What are the delivery rates? Right. So what are the main KPIs? So I would identify 3, ideally, for each of these. Okay. And I'm going to look at those KPIs and I'm going to try to determine which of these points in this process is performing so suboptimally that if I improved just that one piece, it would have the most leverage or the highest impact on everything else. So let's say you're getting a sufficient volume of people to the proposal stage, but you're just not closing deals. Well, then that's going to be the highest leverage thing that you can fix. Okay. And the way that I'm going to try to fix that is I'm going to ask 3 simple questions. Do we have sufficient volume? Are we doing the right thing? And are we doing it the right way? And here's what I mean by that. If we have sufficient volume, which we're going to assume we do on proposal, because let's face it, like if you're not getting sufficient volume here, then we've got to move up to find out where the biggest impact is going to be. But let's assume we're getting sufficient volume here. The questions that we're going to ask to help determine, are we doing the right thing? So let's just write this down, right thing and the right way. Okay. Now here's what I mean by that. The right thing is the process. Okay. That's the actual process that you're running with your proposal or your demo or your disco or your qualifying call, whatever that is. So that means, do you have the right thing in place? Think of this like if it were a movie, and B, what's the script, right? Is the script good to begin with? The right way is how the actors are delivering it. The right way is the execution of it. The right way is how the directors are putting things together. Okay. And those are 2 separate things. You want to ask, Are we doing the right thing? Do we have a good playbook? Do we have a good process? Do we have a good script to run this part of the process the right way? If we do, if we're confident that we've got a good process, right? Like we look at the playbook and we go, it's best practice. It has worked in the past, or it's working for this person. It's just not for these 4 people. Then we can trust, okay, it's not necessarily the process. Maybe this is an execution thing. That's where you say, are we doing this the right way? Do we have sufficient volume? Yes or no? Do we have the right process in place? And are we executing it the right way? The reason you've got to look at it that way is those are very different problems to solve. And this beats the whole, well, just go sell more. Just go do more. Go make more dials. Close more deals. How do you do that? Okay. These are the questions that you've got to ask to identify that. And if it's not the right thing, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, we've got to rewrite the playbook. We've got to get a better process. We've got to get a better script. We've got to get a better talk track. Whatever that is, we've got to improve the process itself. If we are confident that the process is working, then it's an execution piece. And execution may mean we need to change the players. We need to change how they're performing. We need to do some sales coaching. We need to do some role play. We need to do some training. We need to level them up on the skill side so that we can get better execution to execute a good process. Where's the highest leverage place to focus? And then, do we have sufficient volume? Are we doing the right thing? And are we doing it the right way? Now, there's one other thing that you want to think about when you're troubleshooting a sales process like this is that it's one thing to optimize the individual component. It's another thing to optimize how it connects to the other component. Now, this is systems thinking. Systems thinking is you have individual components that you can optimize. Like we can optimize this process and we can optimize the player's execution within this process. But we also have to optimize how these pieces fit with one another. So think of it like sales out of your business is like getting speed out of your car. Okay. You've got different individual parts. You've got different individual components, and you can get those optimized. I can buy better quality individual parts in my car. How those components work with one another is just as important in any system as is the individual optimization. Say I've got qualifying call that's doing well, right? Like we're getting through this pretty well. And we've done a lot of coaching. The volume is right on discovery. We're confident we've got a good process, that we're doing the right thing. We're confident that our salespeople are delivering it the right way. Okay. So it's not necessarily an execution piece. What it may be is the handoff from qualifying to discovery. So what you might do, for example, is say, after the qualifying call, we're having a lot of people that drop off, or they don't show up in a prepared way, or the urgency is gone. Maybe something's happening between here and here. So what can we do to improve that? What can we improve the relation between these two components? Well, we could do an immediate transfer. We could say, hey, you know what? This sounds like a great fit. You say, boom, let me get you to somebody right now. Hold on, right? So you minimize any drop off, or you minimize any loss of momentum that you're getting from one step to the next. But there's always ways to optimize how these things relate to one another and the individual components themselves. So if I want more sales, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down all the individual components of my sales system. Then I'm going to get some basic KPIs, and that's going to help me determine, all right, which of these is the highest leverage thing to focus on right now. And then to diagnose that individual piece, I'm going to say, do we have sufficient volume? Do we have the right process? Do we have good execution? That, at a high level, is how you can go into basically any sales model, any sales system, and identify where can we optimize so that we can get the output, the sales that we really want. That's how I look at it. I hope that it's helpful for you in some way and helps you get more deals, make more money, grow your business. If it has been helpful, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more business tips. Appreciate you following along. Adios.